Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. I'm Nathan Hager, joined now by Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta on a morning with a lot of stocks moving following the U.S.-EU trade announcement. Good morning, Kriti.
Good morning, Nathan. Let's kick it off sector by sector because I think that's really where this trade deal is going to show up in a lot of the stock market, because one of the big underperformers of today's session in Europe was defense. And that's really interesting because broadly these markets, at least on this side of the Atlantic, are celebrating this EU-US trade deal except for the defense sector. And a lot of this is simply because part of that trade deal includes Europeans, as they ramp up their military spend, using that money to ultimately buy American defense infrastructure. So that is boosting the likes of Lockheed Martin, for example. LMT is your ticker this morning. Of course, the major defense contractor that whose earnings, come off a lot of government contracts from the U.S., now likely to get a lot from European nations as well. So LMT is your ticker, trading higher by 1.4% this morning, trading at about $427 a share in the pre-market. It's not alone, Nathan. It's joined at the top of the list by the likes of RTX. This is, of course, the spinoff of, or I should say, reconvergence of the likes of Raytheon, United Technologies, et cetera, one of the other major defense manufacturers in the United States. RTX is your ticker, higher by 1.2% this morning, trading just shy of $159 a share. But I should say the entire defense contract or complex is higher. Even Boeing, which we know has really wound down some of their kind of defense pieces of their business, we know are dealing with their own issues when it comes to the 737 MAX and some of their other plane safety issues as well. Boeing's still higher this morning in light with their kind of defense peers. BA is your ticker, trading at $234 a share and change, higher by about 0.6%. So seeing some positivity across the board in the defense sector. Nathan, we should talk about the pharmaceutical sector as well. Yes. Because that 15%, again, is good news for a sector that was expecting a much higher number and has even been threatened with as high as 200% in about 12 months' time. Not this in this iteration, but in previous iterations as well. So this morning, you are seeing a bit of a boost into the likes of Pfizer, for example. PFE is your ticker, trading higher by 0.4%, just shy of $25 a share. You're seeing like a Merck, for example, MRK, higher by 0.5%. Again, this is good news because you do see some of them that are a little bit lower. So Johnson & Johnson, J&J, lower, excuse me, I got to get my directions right, down about 0.2%, trading at $168 a share. Gilead Sciences is flat, though, $116 a share. So a little bit of a mixed reaction. A lot of that kind of divergence depends on how much domestic versus international exposure you have in that space. So the pharmaceutical sector really feeling it today with a little bit of mixed results. I'll leave you, Nathan, with a final one on Tesla. Okay. TSLA is your ticker. We know it's been having a little bit of a decline when it comes to their share price. This morning, it's the opposite, higher by 1.4%, $320 a share. This comes after a $16.5 billion pact with likes of Samsung in terms of their chip making supply chain. Really a sign of confidence for Tesla. They're going to really ramp up their car production, and simply because they're already gathering the chips for it. A mega deal for the likes of Samsung and a partnership that is being rewarded by
the Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.